Oh,
Oh,
dropping
no.
it.
Oh, no,
Magnus.
Magnus.
So angry with himself.
Another table slam from world number one, Magnus Carlsen, and this is the game that got him so angry. He kicks off with the white pieces. What went down? We're about to unpack it, and then jump to a second game against Fabiano Caruana, in which he was arguably angrier. What a day. Day one of the World Chess Championship Blitz tournament. Quirky opening from Magnus. We so often see it in Blitz chess. They don't go main lines. He now goes for the big centre, but Arjun first to the punch. Hang on. There he goes with the wonderful connect four. He only goes and wins himself a staring contest with Hans Niemann. What a fascinating battle it'll be. Now we see this queen develop early. These guys make up the rules as they go along, and look at this, another piece moving twice, leaving all the other ones stuck at home, breaking so many moves, and Magnus backs up here, was about to mix that up. He can't yet castle. He pushes on here after a5 with a4. The bishop now retreats. Knight a3 best, but Magnus doesn't know the theory. Gets it wrong. Arjun now stands better with black. Knight b3. Critical tension on c5, so captures is played. Knight taking back. Bishop streaming into the game, and Magnus defends like this. Not actually the best move, because bam! Arjun takes up the gauntlet, captures the poisoned pawn as it's often called, but here his queen is not trapped. He's going to take here with check. How does Magnus defend? This is absolutely outlandish. King to d2. Going walkies on move 14. Arjun now gets out of dodge. This was on the way. It comes on the board anyway in just a moment. Queen backs up and knight b5. Not only hits the queen, but you're about to jump here. So Arjun takes with check. Rook recaptures, and now you can't live with that knight. So it's mopped off the board. Pawn takes, knight's discombobulated. Surely gonna move? No. This is why Arjun's sitting near the top of the tournament. He's playing outstanding chess, aggressive, counter shots. Pawn d4 punches through the centre of the board and clears the d5 square. This is the key point. Magnus wins that pawn, but the square is dominated. Rook c3 played. No time to Botez gambit. Bishop e4 goes for the activation. You could munch the pawn, but Arjun wants to get developed here. Magnus manually castles the king, and the game goes on. Pawn now defended. Arjun kept an eye on knight g5. We see king f1 continuing the king walk. Now rook c8, and we soon see all of these rooks going into the blender. Not the most precise moves, but it's blitz chess, and Arjun stands better with these pawns over here, and he's about to win one. But be careful. Don't win it too soon with the knight, or you get checked and actually mated. Bishop's taking the flight square. So that's why after king g1, we saw king f8 running for the hills here, and Magnus just desperately goes for play. They're scrambling on seconds. Knight d2 apparently best. Understandable on a journey, but it takes time. This was his move, just going for craziness. It's completely winning after this, but after queen takes here, and now Magnus playing queen c7, giving an entire piece, you should take in the right way. Which is it? It's actually queen takes, because it allows check and this, but this is a great position for black. These should be winning the game. In the game, we saw knight takes, and it allows Magnus to go check, win this knight here, and it's a slightly better version of what we saw before, but it's very computery. Let's stick with what was played, which was this check, queen blocks, knight gobbled up. Surely black is now killing it, but after knight c6, check is not so straightforward. How do you actually start advancing the pawns? Magnus does some king safety, prophylaxis. Arjun does similar, but he does it a bit wrong. King G7 actually best. King F8. Slow play. He plays H5. So understandable. But gives this square. Magnus hopping for counterplay. Now King G7 and Pawn E6 going straight down the middle, ramming it down Arjun's throat. It's horrible to deal with. Check. Pawn E5. Queen B6 back. Magnus shaking as he gets it on that square. And the best move's A4. But Arjun blunders massively, low on time with the move. Knight D4. And wins on time because Magnus picks up the queen, goes to take this pawn, but it looks like he's doing some kind of slip of the wrist magic trick as the queen goes absolutely flying, almost knocks out Alexander Grischuk, who just happens to be passing. Absolute scenes as Magnus just unfurls on the table, slams it like Thor's mighty hammer. He loses the game, not a happy bunny, because in this final position, the game is a draw. Let's just show a quick sample line. Nothing to be said. Drawn position. Wow. But it didn't stop there, because let's jump to this game. That was round 9. This is round 12. Penultimate round, I believe. There were 13 of the day, and Magnus plays the Pierce defense. This game also ending in anger. If you want to play these kind of offbeat systems, by the way, check out Lotus Chess. Link is in the description. Huge Christmas sale right now. I've never known an opening app like it to gamify the entire experience. linkwithyourchess.com, your lead chess. You don't even feel like you're learning. They're just repeating the moves till you're playing them by heart, online, over the board. I'm about to hit my 60-day streak. I'll record it when I do. Do it literally every day. Check it out. Link is below. Huge sale. Don't miss it. Last day today. This is the move by Fabi, and this is why you don't see it much at the top level, because White dominates the center here, gets this beautiful position. Rook pawn on the march now. Look at all the pieces in comparison to Black. But Magnus doesn't care. He's holding the fort, just steadily getting some bits out. And it's actually not such a bad system if you know what you're doing here. Fabi now expands, and you have to be so careful. There's only one move in the position here to keep an equality. Of course Magnus finds it. It's the outrageous pawn to B5. Setting up a wonderful bathtub, but obviously that's not going to last long. Now if you take here, then you take here, and you take here, but then you take here, and Black's actually doing fine. Look at the board opening up for the bishops. Plenty of files to work with. So let's run back. En Croissant was played. Of course it was. Has to be done. Check out the merch, by the way, if you haven't done already. Got the brand new En Croissant t-shirt going. Mugs, hoodies, the works, many other designs too. Have a look in the shop. I absolutely love them. Mine's in the post. I'll be donning them soon. Link is below as well. Sorry to bombard you here. Lots going on. Great way to support the channel though, and get a decent bit of merch for your wardrobe or the kitchen or something. Many different options. Magnus now undermines the center. Fabi taken with the pawn, and he finally gets all his bits out. Great move by Fabi though. Watch this. Rook A6, a kind of collinear move, stopping just short of the target. Obviously you wouldn't want to take. Stupid idea. You'd lose an entire rook. So instead he sits on the head of the pawn like a sumo wrestler. Magnus brings this cannon, Queen D3, and now with the queen tickling the rook, this is the only defender. Fabi decides to back up. Sensible chess. You don't want that queen to start getting overloaded or something. Some weird lines, you know. Just get the rook to safety. Bishop D8 eyeballs it. X-ray. Queen A6 though. Really nice chess from Fabi. Keeping control, and he starts to build a small edge on the clock. You could keep the queens on here, but of course Magnus takes. Loves to grind like a grandma deep into the end game. Him and David Howell even wrote an entire book on it. Grind like a grandma, Get your copy, you'll be bopping away all night long. Now we see this knight back up, more superb understanding, frees the f-pawn to run, and suddenly look at the counterplay. It's almost Sicilian-esque kind of pawn structure. Bishop's got the eyes opened, knight could rotate around. Love how Magnus handles these unusual positions. f5's already a great move, but he goes for this one. We see the bishop chop, best move. It was hard to live with that knight. You could now double the rooks on the a file, best, but Fabi rotates, kicks that rook back. Now he doubles. You know, it's such subtle stuff, right? One way of playing, doubling first, leaves white with about a +5, +6 advantage. Sorry, plus 0.5, half a pawn. This way of playing is equal. It's way too subtle, especially for Blitz chess. Fabi now covers the pawns with this great wall of pony. Bishop f5 from Magnus, and it's just beautiful how he's unravelled, bringing the bishops out, boards opening up, and he starts to take over. Taking here immediately, one of the best moves. Or this little nudge up the board just to cover the b-pawn. But Fabi jumps immediately, first with the knight, and it's a mistake. Because Magnus can now play. Rook takes on b2, of course. And he's won a clean pawn. This one's now dropping. Fabi spawns the seahorse. Magnus saves the bishop. Apparently keeping the bishops on the board was better. Understandable. You very often want to hold on to the bishop pair. So this was also an option. But Magnus swaps them. This is how the game continued. Rook takes on a7. Rook takes on c2. And we're in a very level kind of position. Black's even marginally better. But Magnus has what we can only describe as a serious brain fart. Because he does that classic where you play the moves you want to play, but in the wrong order. In this position, he plays Bishop d3. And he just resigns on the spot after Fabi takes an entire rook. It's not even an exchange you've lost. It's an entire rook. It is pure resigns town. Now, what did Magnus mean to do? Take, and then Bishop d3. Hitting this knight. But he'd let himself get perilously low on time. Fabi was like a minute and 10, minute and 20 up. Here's a sample line. Swapping knights. Something like this. I was doing a bit of a clicking around. And okay, game goes on. You can attack this pawn. Black is better. As usual, the engine finds some amazing lines to start turning up the heat. This is just one sample. Black's in the driving seat. Who knows how the game would have played out though. Knights are tricky devils, right? This the final position. Magnus absolutely fuming, but I don't want to mischaracterize the day. These were his only 2 losses. He also won 7, drew 4, I think, which now sits him in the chasing pack. So you got Arjun, Maxime, and Fabi. Now, Fabi's a surprise. Incredible player, of course, but not at Blitz. He usually struggles a little bit, but he's right up there. Magnus in the chasing pack, 11th on 9 points here. Anything could happen tomorrow. Definitely a few of these guys will fade away, but Daniel Duboff, MVL, Arjun, I'd expect them really in the hunt now, end of tomorrow. Hope you loved this one. Do let me know your thoughts on everything down in the comments. Subscribe if you enjoyed as well, always does help out. Hit a like or something and have a look at the video on screen for some more epic chess. Cheers.